so-called flying saucers.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the SA. It's rotating.
This is the biggest discovery in human history. It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
This one breakthrough can be the key to interstellar travel.
We can talk more about teleportation.
How can we use these technologies and all the capabilities that might come from it, not to fight a war, but to increase our standard of living?
If the capabilities that exist become known to the world, it might very well be that it is to the benefit of mankind.
Welcome to Kill the Stigma. That's just a teaser for the Age of Disclosure, which is coming pretty soon here. Now, we're not going to talk about that today. Just, keep an eye on those positions of those people. I will talk about a senator that's a Democrat today, which has some very interesting things to say. Anyway, let's get to the show. All right, so this video is pretty intense. It's pretty crazy. We're talking here about senators talking about aliens and UFOs. We're talking about the FBI saying that the mystery drones, they're UFOs. And looking at this issue, the FBI. We're talking about a Stanford professor with the name of Gary Nolan. A lot of you know. He's a billionaire, super successful, and was also involved in looking at this with the CIA. Talking about issues that different aliens have, alien races, like they got beef with each other. What? I mean, I don't know. He says there's evidence for this. Like there's evidence for this. I'm like, well, I would love to see that. But then, at the end, I put some. There's a video there when I put a part of Jesse Michaels. You'll see some beef in, if you look closely, with the mystery drones, which are happening right now in Europe, especially. They're like shooting at each other or something. I don't know. It's weird. So I would advise for you guys to at least pay attention to the clips I have of other people speaking. So, because I think it's kind of interesting. I was watching Ross Coulthart in News Nation, and he was interviewing these guys, the Tedesco brothers. It's three people. It's a woman and two brothers. I'm not sure if she's family as well, but she did a great job speaking, and they as well. So these guys are scientists, and they've been looking at the phenomena for a while, except now. Before it was like nobody wanted to hear them out. Yeah, just your UFO stuff over there, dude. But then we had the flap of the mystery drones in, I think last year really took off. Around this time, November, December was the peak. And the FBI had to get involved. I mean, that was quite the story. So now they're getting funding from the FBI. And a few interesting things were said. But first, let me just play you a clip to show you kind of them saying that they've been working with the FBI and all of that. And also keep in mind Tim Phillips, the guy who was in charge of Arrow, the second director after Sean Kirkpatrick left. Arrow, being the new Project Blue Book of the United States government, praised these brothers and the work they're doing. He was like impressed and actually borrowed some, was hearing them out and took some of the ideas they had and used them for Arrow. So keep that in mind as well. But here's the Tedesco brothers.
How many times would you have seen these objects?
I guess over a period of about, we've been out there 4 years now. We've
probably seen these objects at least, I'd say, a dozen times or so.
And have you reported? I mean, I think that in and of itself, this is one of the busiest air flight corridors in the world. I mean, this is the approach to JFK International Airport. I can imagine the FBI has got every interest in ensuring the safety of flight space and making sure there's no national security issues with undetectable stealthy orbs maneuvering in an area that's quite sensitive. Was there an interest? Is this being taken seriously? I mean, I appreciate you can't talk about the work that you've been doing with the FBI, but can you assure us they are taking the work that you're doing seriously?
They're taking it absolutely seriously.
Yeah, there's a genuine interest in this stuff.
And that's now, because back in 2022, early 2023, when we were still involved in phase 1 of the study and seeing some of these types of phenomena, I was researching and calling the Coast Guard, all the various municipal layers, the park government, the police. I was calling Homeland Security, federal as well as state. And what I was getting was, if we were doing something in the area, one, we wouldn't tell you. Other people were saying, well, if we saw that, we would go have our heads examined. And then some people, yeah, exactly. And some people even said, because it was during early 2023, this set of phone calls, some Coast Guard officials said, well, why don't you call Joe Biden? Because he's just been shooting them down, the Chinese balloons.
So that's a real worry, though, isn't it?
Now, we know that the FBI has had some interesting cases with these mystery drones. There was reports of the FBI being followed to their house by these mystery drones. I have dealt with these mystery drones quite a bit. It's been a while since I've seen them, actually, which I don't know. I'm hoping I can see those again. It was an entertaining time for sure. But also a little bit scary at the moment. I was kind of freaking out last year when it started. I'm not going to go too much into that, but it was kind of scary for me. Now I'm not scared. I don't think, I just don't think there's anything valuable to fear about these things. It's out of my control. But at the time, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Because this does not fit the phenomena's behavior. The phenomena has always been covert, always affected a small percentage of the population so it can remain in the shadows. And now it's suddenly just appearing everywhere? Because the thing is, that thing got branded as New Jersey drones, but it was everywhere. I mean, I've fell down the rabbit hole on this one, and I found a hit on every state. And one of my buddies who's not into this topic, but he still watches my podcast, a former coworker, I remember the last sighting I had. That thing followed me to work, and I posted it here. The videos are horrible. But I remember he even telling me that day, dude, there's like drones in the sky. I'm like, yeah, dude, I know. I'm dealing with that right now. And I remember being to work like almost late because I was like just fascinated with these drones. And yeah, they followed me to work.
Follow me to work or what?
And the interaction with them was very interesting because they were like in a grid-like pattern. Like it's almost like they were doing something, like some sort of exercise. But one of them, usually they were just ignoring me. There was many of these. They were just ignoring me and passing me through. But one of them turned and looked at me, and I kind of freaked out. I'm like, I do not want to get abducted by aliens, man. I've heard the stories. No, thank you. I am not interested. And I kind of like freaked out a little bit. I'm like, come in peace. Then, but the other one, the one that followed that one, the one that was behind it, got spooked. Like he saw me on. I'm telling you, these things were like very aware of me. And I was filming it, and it's almost like it broke the pattern, and it just went away. What, like, was that a scare? Like, was he like? It's almost like these things are individual with their own personalities. That's how it felt. And for those of you who, whatever it is, I got a bunch of the videos which are horrible, but you know, I I don't know, man. Like, I'm an honest person. I'm not going to be lying about this. It's not something cool. It's embarrassing actually for me to post those videos because they're so bad. Like, they just look like plain. You can't really tell, and that's what's frustrating about this topic, man. And the Tabasco, these brothers go into that a little bit here with the Ross Coulthart, and they actually talk about the 1.6 gigahertz signals, which the FBI classified. Why is 1.6 important? Look, I don't expect you to go watch Skinwalker Ranch or believe it, but just put compilation of 1.6. Every time that they're studying the phenomena, when the 1.6 gigahertz frequency comes, things get strange. Yeah, things get strange when the 1.6 gigahertz comes and the equipment fails. UAPs show up. There's a lot of anomalies that happen, and it's over and over and over and over again. So it's interesting that the FBI decided to classify the 1.6 gigahertz signal. It's also interesting that the Tabasco brothers said that there was a lot of tension around this topic with the FBI, and I'm assuming DOD, Aero, there's a battle. And this is another example of we're being forced, not by people in the government or whatever. No, we're being forced by the phenomena to take this seriously. Do you think the FBI wants to deal with this? I mean, now some of them might be fascinated, it might be important work, but think about it. Like, you're just going, dealing with criminals, trying to catch whatever, like, things that the FBI deals with. And suddenly they throw this at you? I mean, it's crazy because I would imagine that there would have at first been a lot of skepticism, and now they have the resources to investigate this. I mean, I'm super happy for the brothers here, the Tabasco brothers or Tedesco brothers, but at the same time, that's going to come with some limitations on what they can say. But the FBI does seem a little bit more transparent than the DOD. So that's good. But still, a lot of the investigation, if you don't have a conclusion, then it's a lot of it can stay classified, and that's a problem because how are you going to conclude this huge topic? All right, let me show you the document real quick that the FBI did declassify. I think it was like 2 weeks ago.
This comes from Ross Coulthart, who writes, I've obtained an FBI document announcing a project to respond to the national security threat posed by unmanned systems, UXS. It specifically refers to unidentified anomalous phenomena as a type of UXS. This is very significant because it means the FBI is now clearly delineating officially between so-called drones and UAPs. It requests all DoD facilities and critical infrastructure sites to report all UXS incursions to the FBI. It acknowledges these incursions may be intended to disrupt operations or gauge U.S. response capabilities and policies. It specifically notes this is a threat to DoD installations, personnel, and tech. A second 49-page document, UAS Response Playbook, announces every FBI field office will now have a dedicated counter-UAS coordinator. Both documents downloadable here, and I'm going to leave those in the description as well. But look at this. UXS defined highly automated, autonomous, and uncrewed systems and robotic vehicles designed to fly, move along the ground, or navigate on the surface or subsurface of waters, such as unmanned aircraft systems, UAS, small unmanned aircraft systems, SUAS, unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, unmanned underwater vehicles, UUV, remotely piloted vehicles, RPV, unidentified anomalous phenomena, officially recognized by the FBI, UAP, and quote-unquote drones. So Why am I telling you this and why this piece of news is significant? Because just yesterday, Senator Kristen Gillibrand from SSCI said this.
My job as a senator is to get to the bottom and to know facts.
U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand speaking with NBC News last November as Congress heard from former pilots, experts, and people who claim to be government whistleblowers to learn more about the government's investigation of UFOs, now called UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Working with Republicans, she set up a Pentagon unit called ARROW for All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office to fully investigate such sightings and testimony regarding the possibility of alien spacecraft or even now underwater vehicles. The senator said last week that about half the sightings can be explained as weather balloons or other aircraft.
So that means there's 50% that's still unidentified. That's a highly concerning number. I think we have to continue to investigate all sightings. So we just know what are these UAPs? Are they drones? Are they adversaries? Or is it other? But we need to know.
And then on previous claims of a government cover-up about UFOs or UAPs.
There was something going on at the DOD at some point. There was some reporting on this where they did have people sign non-disclosures agreements saying that they're working on alien programs, saying that they're working on programs of alien materials. And so you have hundreds of people who signed these non-disclosure forms. And the non-disclosure form said things like, if you reveal that you're signing this, you are a penalty of perjury or death.
That the government did come out and say, yes, we have alien technology. We've seen it. We've seen these UFOs. I think you indicated some have actually been shot down, too. What the concern that would cause panic in the public?
If it is, in fact, otherworldly, that's very interesting. And I don't think it creates panic. I think at the end of the day, we need to know, are we safe? Like, what's going on in the world? Are our pilots safe? What are they seeing when they're flying? Why do they keep running into drones? Like, these are real questions.
It's important to note why this is a big deal. Because the legislation may not have passed from either the Senate or Congress, although Representative Burleson recently said that he's going to propose a single bill. Hopefully it passes or it reaches the floor at least. But something that did pass from the Senate is that they are going to start shooting at these drones. And in the second slide here from the FBI reporting guidelines, below you can see UAP. So this is now being passed around in the FBI and being acknowledged. Unidentified anomalous phenomena is acknowledged by the FBI. And I just see them that they're getting like really involved recently. They're talking to people. I saw that they spoke to Mr. Robert Hastings from the UFOs and Nukes book. I saw Jay Stratton saying that he was working together with the FBI, and they seem to be taking this way more seriously than ARROW was. So I don't know if this is going to make any type of difference.
That is my buddy Pavel from Psicoactivo. Okay, if you don't give him a follow, please do. I'm sure most of you do, but my two friends that watch this, that are just watch it to just see me talk, go give him a follow. He does daily news, and he's kind of a big deal. No big deal. I'm honored to have him as a friend. But anyway, Pavel is talking here, and I went overboard with this. I was looking at this, and I'm here thinking that we're just going to cover the FBI and the document. But then, I don't know how I missed this. Kirsten Gillibrand, a senator of New York in the Democratic Party, starts talking about aliens and NDAs. And it's just like, what just happened? And I don't know. It's a very interesting interview with that person from the news that's interviewing her. And are here. This is happening. Now, will it reach a climax? I don't think so. I don't think it's a threat. It's a threat to the military because they screw with their operations. They jam their equipment. I can see that, if you have a national security mindset. But these things, I am telling you, especially these drones, after interacting with them. And I know that video was lame and you can't, but I'm telling you, man, those things were not freaking planes, and they were interacting with me. And at some point, you just got to go to the people and ask what their experience was. And I thought it was very interesting to see most of them ignoring me, one curious, and then one got spooked. Like it was scared of me, like awkwardly. It's so. I'm like here thinking to myself, bro, you're supposed to be a freaking alien device with amazing technology, but you can be scared of me, and that made it kind of like not as scary, So whatever these drones are, I don't know why I don't know if it's a new player in town, Remember, there seems to be different NHI here and non-human intelligence, and they seem to have problems with each other. So maybe a group of them is like, we're just gonna, I don't care, just gonna show up and do our thing, trying to send a message to somebody, I don't know, or do some sort, I really don't know. But look at the Stanford University professor, Professor Gary Nolan. Professor Gary Nolan from Stanford, billionaire, super successful academic, and had access to the CIA files. He was working with experiencers, has been involved in this very deeply. Look what he had to say.
There's also evidence that, let's say, again, people are going to misquote me. Evidence does not equal a conclusion. Evidence is just the raw material for a hypothesis. There's evidence that whatever it is that we're dealing with does not all comport to a common command structure. It's not one thing. It seems to be many things. Many things that might be in tension with each other. Think of, in the crudest sense, the colonial powers of the 16 and 1700s, England, Spain, France, the Netherlands, Portugal, all fighting with each other for the raw materials of the planet. Now, I'm not saying that we're raw materials. Planet Earth is such, and that we're being fought over by other things, but that these things seem to be not happy with each other. At least there's evidence of that.
What's going on in New Jersey right now with the so-called drones?
Yeah.
Let me tell you one thing. They're not drones. They aren't drones. The U.S. Air Force obfuscates everything. The U.S. Air Force says they're drones. Don't you believe it? The U.S. Air Force also said that thing that I saw did not happen. The U.S. Air Force lies. They obfuscate. The Biden administration, for crying out loud, came out and said they're hallucinations. They're not hallucinations. Look, those things are not just in New Jersey. They're in Great Britain. They're in Australia. They're in the Middle East. They're all over this country.
Lakenheath, Mildenhall, Feltwell, Fairford, Ramstein Air Force Base, Wright-Patterson, Nevada National Security Site, Hill Air Force Base, Lawrence Livermore Lab, Edwards Air Force Base, and Marine Corps Base Camp Pendleton.
I don't want to sound like I'm an all-knowing guru about UFOs, but those are UFOs. We are this close to nuclear annihilation right now.
Yes.
The danger has never been worse, never been more harsh, never been more believable.
So what are we seeing with these quote-unquote Jersey drones? Well, there's a great general model for critical thinking proposed by Thomas Bayes, an 18th century British statistician and philosopher. It says that when you're looking at new data, you should use prior data to analyze it. If somebody lies to you about important information 4 times and you catch them in those lies, the 5th time they say something to you, you should maybe doubt the veracity of what they're saying. So if you don't have the data from Robert Hastings' work, your analysis of what's happening today in New Jersey and all around the world is going to be wildly off. You're going to be subject to psychological manipulation by the media, Pentagon, And pretty much anyone trying to explain these sightings away as mass hysteria, hobbyist drones, or covert gamma ray detectors looking for nuclear material on the eastern seaboard. All of these lies seem more likely as possibilities for truth if you don't have any prior data. But if you do know that DC was overrun by UFOs in 1952, if you know about Lincoln LaPaz's work, if you know about Bob Jacobs' sighting at Vandenberg in '64, if you know about what Robert Salas experienced in 1967, if you know about the F.E. Warren case as late as 2010, then all of this might seem more likely to be a simple UFO flap, the likes of which we've been seeing for the last 75 years with the exact same characteristics as what we're seeing today.
I thought there was a lot of juicy information on this one. Have a good weekend.